Greetings to all. This is a video on information security and computer security. This is your first session. Let us see what is information security and computer security and the different threats that we come across. So information security is the practice of preventing an unauthorized access, disclosure, and disruption, modification, recording or destruction of information. So information it can be physical also, or it can be electronic one. So information like your details, or we can say your profile on social media, that is your Facebook account, Instagram, or your data in your mobile phones, or biometrics, etc. Now, when you want to use a computer and save the data, you should practice a very good computer security. What computer security will do is it will allow you to use your computer by keeping it safe from threats. So it is important because it keeps your information protected. It is also important for your computer's overall health. Proper computer security will help prevent viruses and malware, which allows programs to run quicker and smoother. Okay, so let's see what is a computer security and why it is important. So prevention of data theft, like example, you can take bank account numbers or credit card information, your passwords, very important, or any work related documents or sheets is essential in today's communication, since many of our day-to-day actions depend entirely on the security of data paths. So data present in the computer can also be misused by any unauthorized user. Now what this unauthorized user does is they can change the program source code. Okay, you know that every program comes with a source code, and it is maybe developed by the software programmers. So they can also use your pictures or emails accounts to modify the content and post like pornographic images, or mislead with your fake messages and offensive social accounts. So in computer security, a threat is a possible danger, okay, that might exploit and cause any destruction of data. So they're causing possible harm. So here a threat can be either intentional or accidental. Intentional means a program is designed purposely to destroy your work. Okay, and accidental is an example is here. It could be a computer malfunction where your system crashes while doing your work, or possibility of natural disasters, earthquakes, or any fire. It could be anything. So this is an accidental. Okay, so there are two types: intentional, someone doing purposely, and accidental, unknowingly this threat occurs. So what is important here in the computer security is prevention of data theft, as what I already told you. This credit card information, bank account numbers and all are to be protected so that the information are not stolen. Then from malicious attacks, this also be a factor in computer security, where often the ones who are attacking, they use your computer for attacking other computers also, or some websites or networks for creating these problems. They might crash someone's computer system to create data loss, and they can also crash the server also, by accessing to different websites. So all these factors, your data should remain safe and confidential. Therefore, it is necessary, very necessary, to protect your computer, and in this way, the need of computer security will arise. Okay, so if you have a proper computer security, all your programs will also run faster and smoother. Now, when you're using a computer or say a smartphone also, you need to know your devices properly. We'll take an example of computer. Now say suppose you're working in a bank and you got a job as a fresher. You cannot go directly and sit in front of the computer and start your work. First you need to know, right? You need to know the components of the computer system. Which hardwares are they, which softwares are they, the bank people are using which software to do their transaction, where are the important data saved on the computer. All these things you need to know before you start the actual work. So an example, suppose you got a job and you've been asked to sit there and learn about this work and the system, what information is there. First thing, you have to know which hardware is used. Second thing, the firmware, and the third one is the software. Now, hardware is a physical part of the computer system which you can touch, feel the parts, and example could be a hard disk or a system memory. And a firmware is a software that runs the actual process of the computer. And last one is software. It is an application that offers services to the user. Example is you have MS Word or calculator or browser, games, then even the bank softwares in which they are using, that is a part of the software application. So one needs to know all these three things. Now, information security program, they are built around these three objects, that is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Learning about these components will tell you how hardware, software, and firmware you have to protect. So you need to learn about which data are important so that you can protect all these three objectives. So confidentiality is only authorized users who can access the data, resources, and information. Integrity is they are the only authorized user who should be able to modify the data when needed. And availability, in this, data should be available to the user when needed. Okay, so what happens in confidentiality is, in here the information is not disclosed to an unauthorized individuals. For example, if we say I have a password for my Gmail account, but someone saw while I was doing login into Gmail account, in that case my password has been compromised and confidentiality has been breached. So see that you, whenever you're entering your Gmail account or your password, you save and see that it is the password should be little difficult one so that other cannot recognize it. Okay, so integrity, second part is integrity, means accuracy and completeness of data should be maintained. Here it means data cannot be edited in an unauthorized way. Okay, example I can give you, suppose if an employee leaves an organization, then in that case data for that employee in all the department like accounts should be updated to reflect the status to job left. In this way you know that okay, the information that he was working on has to be stopped here, and it should not be allowed for that person to access the information if in future in other companies. Okay, so that data is complete and accurate, and only authorized persons should be allowed to edit. So once that person leaves the job, he has no right to touch the data. So you have to maintain this accuracy and completeness. Third one is availability, which means information must be available when needed. So if one needs to extract information of a particular employee, example I'm giving you, to check whether employee has how many outstanding number of leaves. So in that case, it requires collaboration from different organization team like network operation, development operation, and policy change management. These are the different organization teams inside a company. So they can hamper your availability of information. So see that the availability of information is available only when needed, not all the time. And authenticity, there is another one, authenticity, which means verifying that users are who they say they are and that each input arriving at destination is from trusted source. For example, if you take if you take an example, sender sends a message along with digital signature, which was generated using a value of message and a private key. Now, at the receiver side, this digital signature is decrypted using a public key. So, we have to maintain the authenticity. Who is sending this? We have to verify whether the right person is sending and whether that person is actually the right person who's sending this information. Okay, so see that information security goes through these three steps. Confidential should be there, integrity should be maintained, and there should be availability. We have different types of security threats that we can come across. Some of the examples are error omissions, fraud and theft, hackers and crackers, employee sabotage, and malicious code. I will give you a small description because these things will be explained in the next session. So in errors and omission, what happens? Users like data entry clerks and system operators, programmers, they frequently make errors that contribute directly or indirectly to security problem. So in some cases, the error is a threat. So such as data entry error or a programming error, and this could lead to a crash of system. So this is one type of security threat. And fraud and theft is an unauthorized use of service or someone or to act someone else to obtain your personal information. You must have seen many times we receive a message wherein they ask you for personal information and they try to hack your bank account details and all. So these are the people who actually steal your data to get access to your information through the computer or social media account or on your online banking account by logging into your personal account using login details and destroying the property rights. Okay, and the third one are the hackers and crackers. Now hackers are the good people and crackers are the bad people. Now hackers, what they do is they are a kind of good people who does hacking for the good purpose and to obtain more knowledge from it. And crackers are the bad people who breaks and violates the system remotely in intention to harm the data and steal it. So they actually destroy the data by gaining an access to your network, and this mostly in this work is hidden. They don't show this, they do it in illegal stuff. So this is about hackers and crackers. So the last 2 points and all I will explain to you in the next session. So far, what I'm trying to tell you is it is very important for the data to be kept safe in whether it is your mobile smartphone or your computer. Okay, even when you're doing any work manually, something on the documents on your papers, see that you keep it in the right place and not just leave it open so that other person can come and uh, you know steal your data. It could be anything important, so very important for to keep a security. And even when you're using your email accounts and all, password is a good computer security for your accounts. So maintain your information and safeguard it. Okay, so this is all about computer security and information security. I will just share you a small video to understand this information and computer security.
Not many of us will leave our houses or cars unlocked, or leave valuables unattended. But when it comes to information, we tend to be less careful. Just look at the phone hacking scandal. Many of the victims left their passwords set to the factory default setting of password, which made it easy for hackers. It shows that we need to be more careful with information about ourselves and that which we handle for others. So this is what you need to know about information security. Most of us, whether at home or at work, have a huge amount of data on computers, smartphones, storage devices, tablets and on paper. There's so much of it we can become complacent, perhaps mixing everyday documents with sensitive information, then treating them as if they were all just ordinary files with nothing important on them. But what if these files got into the wrong hands? Embarrassment? Inconvenience? Public scandal and dismissal? A lot of information security is about being more aware of the risks we're taking. Personal information may seem unimportant to you, but to a criminal it can be the key that opens doors. We need passwords for everything these days. This is Laura, and she uses them a lot. This one looks pretty secure and she knows not to write it down. But here's the thing, she uses the same passwords for lots of different websites. The same one for her social media, as her online auction account, her bank, and her amazing.com account. And for some site she had to register for. Criminals capture usernames, passwords and personal information from bogus sites. It's one of the most common ways that criminals get our details. So using secure passwords is important, but it's also important to use different ones. And passwords are just the first line of defense. For important information, encryption makes it almost impossible for criminals to use the data, even if they do get through to it. That's why people often encrypt data on laptops or USB memory sticks. Encryption is also used to make data transfer through the internet more secure. Websites that are using encryption have an HTTPS address and a padlock symbol. Look for this if you're buying something or using a bank account or getting a quote for insurance, any time when personal details and information are involved. But what about information on paper? We can be just as careless with written or printed documents. You may have heard of government officials with confidential documents on display, walking past photographers, or putting correspondence in public litter bins. It seems so obvious, but have you ever left any documents with confidential information lying around? In a briefcase, on a desk, or on a computer monitor where someone could see it, copy it, or print it off? Ever hit reply to all on an email and not checked who it was going to? It might just be embarrassing, but it could be worse. A lot worse. Sometimes, though, it's more a case of stopping others gaining access. You wouldn't let a stranger follow you in through your front door. So why do people do this in secure areas at work? It's called tailgating. It might be a little embarrassing to say no or ask for ID, but look what happened in this case. An imposter went into a bank posing as an IT person come to fix a computer. Instead, he installed a small piece of software onto the system which allowed hackers to see what was being typed on the bank's computer and use this information to transfer money from the bank to their own accounts. Criminals tried to do something similar on Laura's computer at home by trying to install what's called malware. Fortunately, she had her antivirus and protection software up to date, and it stopped the hackers before they did any damage. Credit and debit cards are prime targets for criminals. Some clone them, while others watch over your shoulder as you enter your PIN code before stealing your card and using it. Look out for these so-called shoulder surfers and make sure they can't see your PIN as you enter it. Organised gangs of criminals are stealing information at such a rate that the cost of a credit card number and bank account details is about the same as the price of a cup of coffee. Criminals are always looking for new ways to get our information and use it for profit. Here are 3 things that may help to make it harder for them. The first is to be more aware of what information you have, how important it is, and how secure it is. Second is to assess what could happen if you lost it or it got into the wrong hands. And third, make sure you have adequate precautions in place to protect it. Although it may be difficult for us to see the value of the information we handle every day, we need to get into the habit of protecting our own and others' information in the same way as we look after our valuables and the things we care about.
Okay, so this is all about this computer security. A part of video was shown for you to explain how it goes. Thank you.